Okay, so I've changed my thread to brown. I'm going to hit the button. It's going to say cut that little piece of thread. I'm going to do that. Okay, it's going to also stitch the stem at this point. Now, what I want to do is I've got this really long stitch here that's called a jump stitch. I'm just going to stop my machine, cut it, and get it out of the way. Okay, I want to show you one other thing. There are these jump stitches in between the branches. Again, those are to be cut out. Okay, next thing you want to do, we're on step number 19. We want to change thread to green, and then we're going to start the machine. So I'm going to stop, I'm going to change my thread, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we are still on step 19. I'm going to start I've changed my thread to green. I just picked a green that matches my leaf fabric, so I'm going to hit the button start, and it's going to stitch out some placement lines for that leaf. Okay, for the leaf, I have 3 different pieces of fabric here. I'm going to let you come see. 3 pieces of fabric. I have a 2-inch square. I have, where am I? I have a 4.5 by 3 inch. That's going to be for the side leaves. I have a, gosh, I keep losing my place. A 3-inch by 2.5 inch square. That's going to be for this leaf, and then the little 2-inch square is going to be for the other side. You can see the placement stitches. I'm just going to lay that fabric right over those placement stitches, right side up. And I'm going to hit the go button. And there's all kinds of noise in the background because my children are over there fighting. Continue. Alright, there you go. So that's finished. Now what we need to do is we need to trim away all this excess fabric, and to do that I'm going to move the hoop out of the machine, but I'm going to leave everything inside the hoop. So let's go over to the cutting table. Okay, so you always want to lay your hoop on a flat surface. You don't want to do this while it's in your lap. I'm just going to real quickly cut this out. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Try not to move the hoop too much. Usually I would just kind of turn the hoop as I do this, but I'm really trying hard to keep my fingers out of the way so that you can see what I'm doing. Alright, now that I've trimmed the leaf out, I'm going to go take the whole hoop back to the machine and put the hoop back in my machine. Okay, so for step 19, we stitched the placement lines, laid fabric over for 20. It stitched the tacked the fabric down for us. 22, we went over, we trimmed it, and now we're going to return. We're on step 23. We're going to return the hoop to the machine. We're going to start the machine again, and it's going to do a satin stitch around the leaf. So this is where you definitely want the thread to match your fabric. Alright, so let me zoom in a little bit. Here we go. I'm going to push my button. I've already lost all 3 pairs of my scissors. Okay, so that is finished. You have some jump stitches here. You'll want to trim those out. I also want to draw to your attention, you notice there is no satin stitch right here in this area right here. That is because the owl is going to go over that area, and I'm trying to eliminate bulk. Step 24 says to repeat the same process with the leaf on the left side of the owl. So same thing's going to happen. We're going to hit the machine, we're going to hit go. my placement line. I'm going to lay my 2-inch square right over it, plenty of room. Grab the thread, start the machine. Yep, and my thread is shredding. So let me just rethread real quick. This is just embroidery. This happens. Alright, I've rethreaded. By the way, I have a top stitch needle, a 90 top stitch needle in my machine so it can go through all these layers of fabric. I'm going to start that one over. Good deal. Trim that out of the way. I'm going to take my hoop over to the cutting table, trim it, and I'll be right back. And I'm back. I've trimmed out the leaf, as you can see. I'm going to start my machine, and it's going to stitch the satin stitch. Alright, you can see that it's stitched through a satin stitch around the little leaf. Step 24, continuing on step 24, it says repeat the same process with the 2 leaves on the strip side of the mug rug. So here we go, same thing. Going to do the placement stitch first. So you can see the placement line. I have got my big, 4-inch by 3-inch strip. I'm just going to lay it over both leaves. Make sure I have enough room. Grab my tail, start again. It's going to do the tack down stitch. And now I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to go trim it out and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've trimmed out my leaves. Okay, I'm going to start the machine. It's going to stitch the satin stitch around here. Okay, so the machine stitched the satin stitch out. There's a couple little jump stitches I'm going to cut. That's one of them, and there's one right here. I'm going to cut. There we go. I'm on step 25. Step 25, we're going to stitch out, the machine is going to stitch a placement stitch for the owl. So my owl is going to be purple, so I'm just going to go ahead and change my thread color to purple to match my owl. I'm going to hit the start button. Stitch a little, I'm going to trim that, and then away we go. Alright, there you go. There's my placement line for my fabric. I'm going to lay my fabric over those placement lines, face up, like such. And I'm going to start the button for the tack down. Okay, I'm going to cut all this away from the owl. So I'm going to stop the video recorder. I'm going to go trim it out and I'll be right back. We're not going to do the satin stitch around the owl next. The next thing we're going to do is it's going to do the placement line for the belly. So we're on step 29 now. Here we go. Here's our placement line for the belly. Okay, so you can see it stitched out the placement line. Now I'm going to lay my belly fabric right side up. I'm still going to leave my purple thread in, so I don't think it matters. Suppose if you had a really dark fabric like a brown owl or something, you'd probably want to change your thread to white. Okay, I'm going to stop camera. I'm going to go trim out. I'll be right back. Okay, I am now on step number 32. We're going to start the machine and it's going to stitch the placement for the eyeballs. is one of the areas where you need to get a piece of extra fabric for the eyeballs. Initially, the eyeballs and the belly and the beak, it was all one piece, but I wanted to eliminate the fabric underneath the beak, just so things would stitch out better, and we forgot to change the doc. Or actually, the documentation is correct, it's just the supply requirements were not changed. Okay, I'm going to go trim this out. I'll be right back. Okay, he's starting to look like an owl now. Now I'm on step number 35, and we're going to start the machine again. I still have my purple thread in, so it's going to stitch the ears and the crown of the owl's head. Okay, I've got the crown and ear placement. This is the other piece of fabric that you need to cut, the extra one that was not in the supply list, to cover the crown and the ears. So we're going to lay that over and tack it down. Okay, I'm going to go trim this out. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Trimmed it out. You can see there's a little gap up here, a little gap here, a little gap here. You don't have to worry about that because there's all kinds of satin stitches that are going to be covering all that up. Still on number 37, it says change thread color to brown to match owl. Well, my owl is purple, so I'm going to keep my thread purple. If you have a brown owl, you can change your thread to brown or whatever color your owl fabric is. And I'm going to start my machine. It's going to start doing some satin stitching. Alright, there it is. It's stitched around the owl. Okay, so now we are on step 39. It says change thread to white. So we're going to be stitching around the belly, the eyes, and then we're going to stitch an eyebrow that's going to cover up all these gaps right in here. So let me change thread. I'll be right back. Okay, you can see it stitched out the eyebrow. I'm going to get rid of this jump stitch here. I've got another jump stitch here. Now I'm still on step number 39. And it says when machine stops, change color to gold. Start machine again. The machine is going to stitch out the satin feet, satin stitch the feet, and the beak. Now, since I have a purple owl, I just decided why not have really bright, obnoxious yellow feet and a beak. You know, why not? I've never seen a purple owl with a lemon yellow beak, but hey, this is my owl, my creation. I'll do whatever I feel like, right? And we're going to let it roll. And it's going to jump up to the beak. Alright, so it's finishing up the beak. It stitches that fill, and that's going to do a little stitch around the outside just to define that beak for us. Okay, we are now on step 40. Step 40 says change thread to brown, black, or whatever color you want for the eyes and start your machine. Well, I'm going to give my owl green eyes. What the heck? It's a purple owl with a yellow beak. Might as well have some green eyes. And they're going to be bright green too. Really obnoxious, bright green eyes. Okay, there he is with some bright green eyes. Now, step number 41, what we're going to do is we're going to stitch a placement line for our backing fabric. Okay, so I don't care what color thread you have, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead. The needle you'll see will move up to the top here, and you can hold your thread and stitch this around. You can even skip this step too, because when you flip it over in a minute, and I'll show you, you can very easily see what the back looks like where it is, but I will go ahead and stitch it out just for good measure. Just a placement line. Okay, so we're on step number 42. Okay, so again we're going to move the machine. We're going to move the hoop out of the machine. Cut your bobbin. You know, your back starts looking a little messy at this point. Okay, let me get my little bucket. Okay, things tend to disappear in my house. That probably never happens in your house. But I have a little plastic bin that I usually put my backing fabric in so I can spray the back with my temporary adhesive fabric spray. I can't find it right now. It has disappeared, but it so happens that my trash can is pretty full of scraps. So I'm just going to lay this down in the trash can like such. I don't have food or anything in this trash can. It's just fabric. And I'm going to take, and one of the reasons why I want to have my backing in a container is when I spray this stuff, it leaves a sticky residue over anything it touches. So if I spray it on top of my cutting table, I got a sticky cutting table. If I spray it on top of my sewing table, I got a sticky sewing table. So I just want to keep sticky away from everything in my sewing room. So I'm just going to spray this on the back. I've got the wrong side facing up. There we go. Okay, we're back. I put my, I'm over at the cutting table now, and you can see very easily where the mug rug is placed, and I'm going to take the sticky back, the sticky side, and I'm going to put it just right over those placement lines. You can see this is why you can almost skip that second step, because as you can see that just covers the entire, you don't see anything, any part of the mug rug. It's big enough to. Okay, so last step we're going to come, well not last step, but last embroidery step. I put my machine, my hoop back in my machine. It's all right side. You can see where the backing fabric extends well past the mug rug. I'm going to hit start, and it's just going to stitch it all down, my backing fabric in place.